Good morning on this Tuesday, February 25th. You're watching News 6 Plus, and this is Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm Bridgett Ellison. Good to be with you. And this morning we are finally drying out from what seemed like never-ending rain. We're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos to see what to expect today. We also have a chat this morning with a pediatrician from Orlando Health about the latest guidelines about children's beverages, and some of it might surprise you. So she's coming up a little bit later, but let's get you ready to head over to the Pinpoint Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. And Candace, it's nice and cool out there this morning. I had to run out to the car for something.
I know it's cooler out there. It's also looking a bit kind of on the gloomier side of things because we still have that cloud cover that's trying to get out of here. But once it does, I can guarantee you it's going to be a much nicer day. Today, temperatures back into those 70s. Now, although it might look gloomy and rainy, it's not raining right now. We're looking mostly dry at this point in time. But again, it just takes a little longer to get the cloud cover out of here. So let's take it to the maps and show you what you can expect over the next couple of days. Today, it's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, and we're going to continue to warm up gradually throughout the rest of the week. And then into Friday morning, we are watching a cold front come through, and that's going to bring temperatures back into the 60s. Looking at the setup, though, there's that area of low pressure. All that rain yesterday, significant rainfall, by the way. We've racked up between about a quarter of an inch or more than an inch in some locations, and that really is going to help drought, all that dry air kind of on the backside of that. Continue to usher in some much more comfortable air in the forecast today. Temperatures out the door where the skies are clearing towards our western side. We're seeing temperatures a bit cooler. We're in the upper 50s, but along the coastline where temperatures are still in the 60s, that's where we are still dealing with a lot of that cloud cover that is slowly pushing away. In the meantime, though, this afternoon temperatures are going to be much nicer. We're back into those 70s, although Volusia, Flagler County, you might actually hold on to those 60s for the majority of the day. But as temperatures continue to rebound back into the 70s today, pollen numbers are going to rebound. It was the wettest day of the year yesterday, but it was also the lowest pollen numbers we've seen in about 2 months. So it was a nice little break from the heat and the pollen, but all of that will come right back into the forecast. You can see here clouds and rain still showing conditions drying out nicely, but then we are watching the approach of another cold front. And that cold front this time around won't be too soggy. Just a couple isolated sprinkles can't be ruled out. But then once that front clears, temperatures will cool down, the skies will clear. How much will it cool down? We'll be back into the 60s on Friday. But for those who are hoping for a warmer weekend, it looks like we'll be rebounding those temperatures back into the mid to upper 70s throughout the weekend. Overall, looking nice. The majority of the week will stay in the 70s. The majority of the week will be dry. As of now, it looks like the coldest point of the week will come late Friday night and into early Saturday morning, where temperatures as far south as Orlando could get into those 40s. Tonight, we actually could get a couple 40s, but that will be across our far northern zones today. So drier. It's still kind of gloomy. We just got to get a couple more hours for all that cloud cover to move out with that front, and then we'll really be able to sit back and enjoy more sunshine today.
Okay, and it looked like the hottest day was going to be Thursday for now.
Yeah, ahead of that. Yeah, right ahead of that cold front, we'll start closing in a little bit closer towards that 80-degree mark. As you know, a lot of that heat and humidity tends to build up before that cold front comes through. So we'll look at about a 10-degree drop between Thursday and Friday.
I saw that. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Candace.
You're welcome.
And we do want to check on those roads. Trooper Steve is off, and our Crystal Moyer is standing by there next to Candace in the Pinpoint Weather Center. And how are things going this morning, Crystal? Good morning.
It's going all right. I mean, the good thing is we're not dealing with the rain that we saw yesterday. So it was just a mess with those slick roadways. But we are dealing with a pretty bad wreck over in Orange County near Belle Isle. So heading to the maps here, we have a live DOT camera showing that bad crash there along the 528 westbound. This is near McCoy Road. If you're familiar with the Orlando International Airport area, this is just west of that. So this is what you're going to run to. Major slowdowns here. We saw several vehicles involved in this wreck. I'm not sure if injuries are involved or not, but you could see fire trucks, EMS on the scene. So I'm not sure if some fuel was spilled, but there's some pretty badly beat up vehicles out there. The tow truck is on the scene. So hopefully they can get things cleared up here soon. Unfortunately, we are seeing traffic backed up all the way back towards Tradeport Drive all the way down to Boggy Creek. So you're moving at 15 miles per hour. Again, this is heading westbound. So if you're heading towards the airport, this is not going to affect you at all. But we do want to make sure that you are safe. And if you want to take an alternate route, there is a service road just south of the 528 Jetport that will get you around this mess and around those delays. Here are your drive times on the Beach Line heading westbound between I-95 and I-4. Allow 45 minutes. Heading eastbound between I-4 and I-95, just a 37-minute drive. Not bad at all. What is bad if you're over near Champions Gate? I know we're used to seeing a lot of traffic here during the rush hour, but it is a mess on several roadways throughout the area as you are heading towards that Polk Osceola County line. Moving at 20 miles per hour along I-4 eastbound just before you hit the 429. So what you're seeing closest to the DOT camera there, that would be heading westbound. Now those eastbound lanes, that's the further off in the distance, you see that stop and go traffic. Now, here's what it looks like throughout the area, because some folks may be trying to use Davenport as an alternate route taking 17. You're moving at 10 miles per hour there. If you're trying to get onto I-4 using US 27, traffic is backed up for several miles. You're at 10 miles per hour. Once you hop on I-4, it is stop and go all the way up towards the Champions Gate area. Once you pass the 429, that's when things start to spread out and move back at speed. So I don't see any crashes along these routes. Unfortunately, I don't know why we're having these major backups, but I'm giving you a heads up so that you can head out the door with plenty amount of time so that you can make it to school and to work on time.
Yes, and like you said, at least it's not rainy and like messy like yesterday. So, all right, thanks, Crystal.
Yeah.
And what do you have going on later today?
Oh, so today we'll be talking about it. If you're watching the morning show, I know Consumer Reports, we had their top picks actually came out this morning. So like,
yeah, we're going to run it later.
Released, so we went ahead and so it was really interesting to see what their top picks were. It's a little different from what they've had in prior years. So if you guys stick around, you'll get to see what they recommend.
Yeah, when I heard one part in there, that truck that gets 37 miles to the gallon, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, trucks, you know, they are gas guzzlers. So
yeah, that's good for a truck. Money. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Crystal. We'll see you soon. And we do want to check in on some breaking news we had on a house fire in Orange County. It happened on Contour Drive this morning west of Eden Park Road in the Lockhart area of Orange County. When crews got there, flames were shooting through the roof. We know now, we've learned that this house is, as you can see, destroyed. And 3 patients were taken to the hospital. The homeowner told our crew that her husband and father-in-law were taken to the hospital, but we've learned that there's a total of 3, so 1 other person was transported. We do know that 2 had smoke inhalation, 1 had burn injuries, and she also told us she lost several cats in this house fire. So when we get more information, we will let you know about that breaking news right here and on clickorlando.com and News 6 at noon. Also this morning, a case veteran detectives are calling gruesome. It is just terrible. A 10-year-old boy abused so badly that now the boy's mother and another man are locked up in relation to this. And News 6's Mark Lehman has more on the case.
To put it plainly, this child was tortured.
Some emotional moments from Detective Courtney Sullivan as she went through the details of the extreme abuse case of a 10-year-old Tavares boy.
He is covered head to toe. He is covered head to toe in various size bruises that are in various stages of healing.
Investigators say they found evidence of prolonged abuse at the home, which remains an active crime scene. Neighbors finding the allegations disturbing.
I was real shocked when I found out what's happened. It's sad to treat a kid like that.
This morning, the boy's mother, 37-year-old Kimberly Mills, along with 36-year-old Andre Walker, are in jail on felony charges. It's after detectives say they dropped off the child at a hospital Saturday night. According to police, this is a still image of Walker before he and Mills left the ER before law enforcement arrived. Mills later returned and was arrested. Walker turned himself in yesterday.
And so we'll continue following that story out of Tavares. Also this morning, that deadline for nearly 2 million federal employees to respond to an email explaining what they had done at work the previous week has officially come and gone. And we've learned that it is still causing some chaos here because it was threatening to fire people who didn't answer. But then leaders of the different federal agencies told employees not to respond. And so here's Amy Kiley with more on that.
There's a lot of confusion Calls for clarity are growing around an email asking federal employees what they did last week. It's now past the response deadline listed on the email, but Elon Musk is doubling down. He says employees will get another chance to submit answers. He says on X, quote, failure to respond a second time will result in termination. That post yesterday comes just hours after seemingly contradictory guidance from the Office of Personnel Management. That's the agency that sent the email. It says responding was voluntary but strongly encouraged. In fact, a number of federal agencies say they don't want their employees to answer.
When is it that somebody doesn't answer the email and they are reprimanded or let go or terminated?
A handful of Republicans are joining those who say the mixed messages are confusing. Senator Shelley Moore Capito says the email wasn't handled well. She says clarification would be good. Senator James Lankford says he wants to know, quote, where did that come from and why did that go out that way?
Just ease up a little bit so we can actually get some really good things done, but make sure it's concisely done without a lot of negativity.
Calls for compassion are on the rise, too. As federal job cuts continue, lawmakers say they're hearing from constituents who are now out of work.
I really wanted to hear their concerns, and let's work together about how can we find you the next job.
Amy Kiley, Getting Results, News 6.
And so we'll keep following that story as well. Also this morning, pushback in the Soto area of Orlando, where neighbors there are concerned about plans to develop a homeless shelter. There are state guidelines that require cities to accommodate the homeless with different services, but folks there are worried about property values, and they are worried about the city being transparent about their plans. Mike Valenti has more on their concerns.
I was hoping this would be like a discussion.
During an informal neighborhood meeting Monday night, a few dozen people in Soto reiterated their opposition to a shelter in their backyards.
So what are your main objections to this plan?
Safety, safety, safety.
Octavian Kentilly formed the website StopSotoShelter.com, arguing in part that those who don't end up complying with the shelter's rules might end up lingering on the neighborhood streets.
In my opinion, big shelters do not work.
Back in November, Orange County agreed to lease the space to the city for $1 a year for 7 years.
That agreement stipulates that when it comes to this shelter, the city conduct appropriate community engagement, and it adds that the city reach community consensus.
In your opinion, has the city done that?
No, and that was my language that I had put into that agreement.
Myra Uribe is this district's Orange County commissioner. She claims Orlando has not provided any meaningful updates in 4 months. People living nearby agree.
There's zero transparency.
I've had a lot of people ask me over the weekend, what do I do? What can we do?
Uribe says what they can do is to continue to write the city and county. And next week, she'll be back for another Monday meeting, this time with a city commissioner expected to attend.
There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered.
A page published on the city's website states that the process for public input would likely start in the first quarter of 2025. Mike Valenti, Getting Results, News 6.
A bit of a positive update this morning from the Vatican, saying Pope Francis is showing slight improvement as prayers continue pouring in from around the world. The 88-year-old pontiff remains in critical condition in Rome at the hospital there. The Vatican says that he's been able to do some work, and the potential kidney failure doctors were concerned about is no longer a worry. They also say he is still receiving oxygen, but it has been reduced to a slower rate. But for the second night last night, hundreds gathered in St. Peter's Square to pray for him, with a service led by the second most senior cardinal at the Vatican. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our interview with a pediatrician about the latest recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Welcome back. This morning, we're taking a closer look at the latest recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics. And with us this morning, we have a pediatrician from Orlando Health, Dr. Gayatri Kapoor. And we really appreciate you joining us this morning to talk a little bit more in depth about this, because it is one of those things that comes up every so often. So these recommendations, are they much different from previous ones, or is it more like a reminder?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. Yeah, that's a great question. So really, I think it's more of a reminder to kind of revisit these old recommendations of not letting our young children be exposed to fruit juices, any sugary beverages, any sports drinks. The guidelines really come from the AAP, but more research was done with convening a panel from the dietetics community, the dentistry community, and these revisit the ages of 5 to 18.
And so I was looking really closely at it. It says plain drinking water, plain pasteurized milk, but limit 100% juice, plant-based milks, and flavored milks, and then avoid those sports drinks, sodas, fruit drinks, fruit aids, agua frescas, sweetened waters, energy drinks, energy shots, coffee, tea, etc. Of course, this ranging from 5 to 18. And so what have been some of the trends? Are people really starting to get away from milk? And because I see they're saying limit the plant-based milk. So if you have people just slacked off more on drinking milk than maybe like when you and I were kids, or what have been some of those trends?
Yeah, I think it's just there's so much information in our community. So and as allergies change and people develop sensitivities or people become more health conscious, people tend to choose these plant-based alternatives as the first line rather than going to traditional milk. So I think that's really where the change has come. But we see that research shows that plain pasteurized milk is really the best, and even better than that is just plain water. I think we forget that water itself has plenty of minerals that are essential for us.
And we know soda's bad. We know that kids shouldn't be drinking sodas or caffeinated drinks, but a lot of that, including the energy drinks, you said is more of a concern for the older age group that we're looking at.
Yeah, so a lot of these energy drinks, not only do they have added sugar, but they have other sweeteners like theanine, like guarana, like aspartame, hidden things that we don't see on the label as sugar necessarily, but that's what they turn to in the body. And we know that as kids grow and as they become adults, that there are health risks like links to type 2 diabetes or cardiovascular issues.
And we've seen a trend upward with obesity and diabetic conditions, and some of that is linked to a lot of the calories coming from the beverages.
Yeah, and I don't think it's so much as the calories necessarily as it is the sugar content. So we know that when we drink even 100% fruit juice, which is what's recommended should you choose to give your child any juice, it quickly brings up your blood sugar, and then there's a big crash. And this can leave kids feeling tired. It can affect your sleep quality. In kids that take energy drinks or caffeinated beverages, it can cause poor sleep quality or higher blood pressure. So I think, we underestimate the effects of these kinds of drinks.
And then I noticed they even said that no more, if you do occasionally have juice, like it needs to be 100% and no more than 4 ounces. So that's not a whole lot.
No, it's really not. And, I think, a lot of parents say, oh, we have about a cup of fruit juice, but a cup can really vary from person to person or families. So I think what's important is to remember parents have good intentions. They want to give their kids the vitamins and the minerals that come in fruits, but rather than doing the fruit juice, I think it's really important to give them the fresh, whole, unprocessed fruit or vegetable.
And like you said, we talked about sensitivities with respect to people who maybe can't tolerate just the plain whole milk. So you talked about alternatives and their recommendations, also talking about limiting the alternatives. So you said look at maybe the lactose-free version of milks or different milks that may be for sensitive people.
Yeah, so the research and the article that came out suggests using like the same version of milk, but just the lactose-free option. So, there's things like Lactaid or even Fairlife, but definitely still pay attention to the hidden added sugars that sometimes is even in products like those.
Okay. Well, anything else we should keep in mind before we go?
I think that's really everything. Just be mindful and give your kids the whole unprocessed food rather than the vegetable juice or fruit juice options.
Wonderful. Well, this is always good information. Dr. Kapoor, thanks for taking some time out to chat with us about this.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Take care.
You too.
Also this morning, like Crystal mentioned, Consumer Reports out with the latest on their best picks for 2025 vehicles. And it might surprise you, but they have a nice assortment of safe, reliable, and budget-friendly choices. So here's Crystal with more on the top cars of 2025.
Every day, Consumer Reports tests new vehicles at its state-of-the-art facility, evaluating everything from safety and performance to fuel efficiency and cargo space. So here are Consumer Reports' top picks for 2025. The Toyota Highlander Hybrid is CR's choice for the best mid-sized SUV.
The Highlander Hybrid is a great choice for a family road trip with 3 rows of seating, 35 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing, and a near 600-mile cruising range.
The Subaru Forester is CR's pick for the best compact SUV. Its redesigned cabin is quiet and comfortable, and it gains some cargo space. The Forester is also efficient, averaging 29 miles per gallon in Consumer Reports tests. But a car doesn't have to be expensive to be a top pick. Take the Nissan Sentra, which starts at just over $20,000.
It has great handling, a comfortable ride, intuitive controls, and a ton of its standard advanced safety features, making it an exceptional value.
The redesigned Toyota Camry is only available as a hybrid. This top pick for sedans is fun to drive, reliable, and fuel efficient. Ford makes the list with Maverick and Maverick Hybrid pickup trucks. It's not as big as other pickups today, but the Maverick Hybrid delivers a stunning 37 miles per gallon.
That was pretty shocking. That's nice. So you can check that out again on the insider page at clickorlando.com. We're continuing to follow up on different cities making choices about fluoride in the municipal drinking water. And so last night, Leesburg, Oviedo, and New Smyrna Beach all voting to remove fluoride or not to repair equipment that adds it to the water. City leaders say it's in part due to costs, health concerns, and bills banning fluoride expected to come up in Tallahassee. And it comes after the state surgeon general raised concerns about possible negative impacts for health, especially for children. And you saw this story first online on clickorlando.com. A Pennsylvania-based pretzel company is bringing their treats to the Sunshine State. And so you won't have to wait long to find it in Orlando either, because Philly Pretzel Company is planning to bring its first store here later this year. The company specializes in soft pretzels, pretzel dogs, mini cheesesteak stuffed pretzels, and pepperoni melts. And if you can't wait for all the details, again, you can find that on clickorlando.com. I can almost smell those pretzels. They look so good. We want to remind you to send us your story ideas for Oviedo. That is where our newscast will hit the road next. And so we want to know about the issues that you want us to cover, the stories and people there that you want to have highlighted. So let us know at clickorlando.com/hitstheroad, and we look forward to bringing those to you. And that's going to do it for us on Breakfast. We'll see you again at noon. Have a great day.